Really concentrating on the area north of Market Street to about Princess, I believe, College Avenue, all the way down there. We're going to be looking for, as you guys know, abandoned vehicles, property maintenance violations, perhaps some warrant issues. I don't know. We got enough gentlemen and ladies here in uniform to take care of that.
Example of what is legal and what is illegal. We'll start off with what is legal.
The Property Maintenance Code specifies that grass and weeds must be cut and maintained below 10 inches at all times on all areas of the property.
This morning we're here to talk about the city's ICE team, and with me I have Tom Landis, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself and the City of York's ICE team. Hi Tom, how are you?
Hi Angie, I'm doing great. Thank you for this opportunity.
Good. Tell us a little bit about your job with the City of York.
Well, I've been employed with the City of York for 21 years. I am the Superintendent of Recreation, Parks, and Sanitation. I'm also the co-chair of the ICE team, along with Chief Stephen Buffington.
And what exactly is the ICE team?
Well, the ICE team basically is an abbreviation for Integrated City Enhancement. We are comprised of pretty much all the bureaus, or all the departments, here within the City of York. We are comprised of Public Works, Fire Department, Police Department, Community and Economic Development, as well as other outside agencies within the community.
How long has the team been working together, and what is it that the team does?
We have been together for a total of 5 years, and basically our mission, point blank, is to improve the quality of life issues that are in our neighborhoods within our city.
It's my understanding that the team meets weekly, and they discuss different concerns and issues of the citizens of York. Can you tell me a little bit about those meetings and a little bit about what happens after you have your meetings?
Sure, absolutely. We meet every Wednesday, 8 o'clock here in Council Chambers. There are representatives from every department that are here at our meetings. We discuss concerns that come to us via the residents calling in and complaining about issues, or just because of our nature of our jobs, having people out in the field, our PMIs, our code officials, our Public Works Department employees actually stumble across issues that are of concern. And during our meetings, we discuss those issues. We have all the departments represented here at the table, so when the issues are presented at our table during our meetings, we have folks that are present that are able to respond quickly to those concerns.
You talked a little bit about PMIs. That is an acronym that means Property Maintenance Inspectors?
That is correct.
And so the police, fire, the York County Sheriff's Department, your department, health and sanitation, that group of people gets together with a few other people I may have missed, and they essentially are working collaboratively to assure that the community is safe and sanitary and without obstruction should the police or fire need to go and help some citizens of the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is a York City operation. This doesn't go beyond city boundaries, correct?
That is correct. We are working within the city boundaries. You had mentioned about the Sheriff's Department.
Yes.
The Sheriff's Department is actually a great example of partnerships that actually pulls the county in to helping the city with concerns. The Sheriff's Department became active in 2010. Sergeant Barber leads a team of folks that take actually inmates out into the community, out into the city, and help us with cleaning up areas that are of concern.
You just talked about cleaning up. I was looking at WRCT the other day, and I saw something that said a clean sweep. Can you describe or tell the viewers a little bit about what a clean sweep is and how that works?
Sure. A clean sweep basically takes our Wednesday weekly meetings, kind of kicks it in high gear, and we take it right out onto the pavement. We go into neighborhoods. We address those quality of life issues. And a quality life issue could be anything from high weeds and vegetation to large items and trash, to drug dealings, to abandoned vehicles, all those little things that basically help bring a neighborhood down. We go in as a team. Our PMIs and our code officials, they inspect properties for property maintenance concerns. Public Works Department comes in. We address, along with the Sheriff's Department, the removal of large items, trash, litter. We address concerns such as potholes. We take a look at street signage to see whether or not it's appropriate for intersections. Are the signs, visible? Those kind of things. The police department, they obviously are helping us with concerns that relate to vehicles, as far as being parked on approved surfacing, to being licensed and registered properly, inspections current on those vehicles. From a community development perspective, we worked closely with the building inspector. We work closely with the health inspector, taking a look at issues such as illegal garages. We look at backyards for swimming pools. That was probably one of the biggest things we saw this year, were swimming pools that were put up by property owners that basically are not to code.
That's an amazing amount of observation that you make and then corrective action. I would imagine that there are thousands of hours that go into this, but it's probably something that might be a little bit go unnoticed, perhaps, to the citizens of York, that this group of people is working tirelessly and is spending time. I think you do like a pre-sweep. You sort of go out and talk with some neighborhood associations and other interested
Correct.
Citizens. You do that in advance of the clean sweep. Is that
Right.
how that works?
Yes.
So you're building relationships with those neighbors and trying to encourage them to come forth and bring their concerns to you so that you can do something about them with your team of ICE team members.
Sure. I mean, the pre-sweep allows for us an opportunity to engage the residents in that community to be a part of the solution. When we come in during a sweep, typically it's done in the morning hours. A lot of things that go on in neighborhoods that help bring them down, those activities go on after work hours. Mm-hmm. So, when we come in at 8 o'clock in the morning, if there's an illegal garage operating in a neighborhood, most of the time they're not operating at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Correct.
So the neighbors are very useful to us, to alerting us, to those concerns, so that while we're there in the morning, even though that activity may not be going on, we've been made aware, and we have team members who are working on addressing those issues after work hours while these things are happening. As far as the residents really not knowing about us, I would like to say that I think the residents do know about us.
Great.
When we come into a neighborhood setting and do a clean sweep, I think it's very evident that something has gone on in a very positive manner. We go in, we clean up litter and trash and remove the large items. Residents, if there are property maintenance concerns that are being noticed by the PMIs or the code officials, those residents are alerted immediately as to what those concerns are, and then they are given a time frame in which they can work in to get those matters corrected. Normally what ends up happening is when we go into an area, we define it with boundaries. Normally folks who live on the other side of those boundaries, we get the phone calls, why did you stop there?
Couldn't you come over to my side of the street?
Exactly, and we can, but honestly, we determine an area. It's based off of size. It's based off of the number of concerns that are going on in that area, and we have to just keep in mind too, what can we physically accomplish in a day with these team members, so that it actually is utilizing our resources properly. Well,
I think earlier when I said it goes unnoticed, maybe what happens is people don't realize the teamwork and the amount of effort that it takes to do that, but they come home after working or wherever they've been during the day and they say all of a sudden, oh, all those large items have been removed and it looks like the grass and the weeds have been cut down behind my garage or across the street from where I live. So good for you all. What would you say in your estimation as the co-chair of this group of dedicated public servants, what would you say is the most important accomplishment that you've had as a team over the time that you've been working together?
Well, I think it just goes back to our mission, and that is we're improving the quality of life. Mm-hmm. We've been in many neighborhoods. We've been in many neighborhoods 2 or 3 times. When we can go in, for example, I think in several parts of our city, we have neighborhoods that have abandoned houses. Abandoned houses unfortunately bring down a neighborhood. They offer issues that pertain to high weeds and vegetation, illegal dumpings of large items, illegal activities may be going on inside of them. And when we can go in and we can get the results done in a manner that can get that abandoned house torn down, that once overgrown lot now leveled and being maintained. When we can go in and we can address, illegal activities as far as drugs, as far as dogs barking at night, as far as people loitering after hours, cleaning up a neighborhood, all those things that affect quality of life issues for our residents. When we accomplish those things, we've made a major impact in trying to help improve that neighborhood setting.
Well, this is all very meaningful information. I just have one more question to ask, and that is, if there were one thing that the viewers of this program should know about the ICE team and the role that they as citizens play, what would that one thing be?
Well, I think the most important message is that, folks should not feel helpless. If they have concerns, whether it's loud noises or dogs barking, you're going to hear a little bit more about bed bugs and things of that nature. I mean, our residents aren't out there, without resources. I mean, we are here. This is an initiative that is backed by the mayor's office. And, she has given us the task of going out there and helping to get the city cleaned up. So there are dedicated people here who are ready to get started, to get out there and get these issues cleaned up. So we're here. There will be some phone numbers presented later on about...
Well, let's do that now if we can. Telephone number, there's an FYI line for the City of York. It's included in this resource guide, and these resource guides can also, you can call the FYI line and ask for a resource guide, but the FYI line is area code 717-845-3949. Also, the city's website is important, and you can find out more information about how we can help the citizens of York by getting on the city's website, and that's www.yorkcity.org. Is there anything else you wanted to sort of give me as a final wrap up of this conversation?
Sure. Just from a public works perspective, large items always is a sort of a hot topic, and we actually do have a phone line that residents have the ability to call in. They can schedule up to 5 large items a week.
What's a large item?
A large item could be anything from a mattress to a patio chair to a tire, but it's just items that typically you will not find in typical trash that is set out for pickup.
Small appliances?
Small appliances, yes. Okay. Our large item pickup number line is 843-1240.
Great. Well, Tom, thank you very much for what you do to co-chair this committee and all the work that you and your staff do. It's really wonderful that we have resources like you, and I hope that people watching this will know that they're available and that you should be encouraged to call. And if you see things that you feel need to be changed or can be improved in your own neighborhood, in addition to that Take 10 on Tuesday that we all try to do, don't forget that there are clean sweeps and there are people here that are willing and ready to serve you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're out on a pre-sweep, and today we've come across a situation that often happens where we get phone calls coming in, folks wanting to know what is considered an approved surface for parking a car and what's considered an unapproved surface for parking a car. And here's a typical example of what is legal and what is illegal. We'll start off with what is legal, what is considered an approved surface. An approved surface obviously is a surface that contains either asphalt, concrete, or crushed stone. The car that is here behind this fence obviously is sitting on what is considered to be a approved surface. And then to the right is an example of a vehicle that's parked on an unapproved surface. And most often, this is what we find when we're out on our sweeps. We find the vehicle parked behind a house, whether in a yard or right off an alley, that's parked in the grass. And as you can see, there is no stone. In fact, there's a lot of the grass is missing. We now have a situation that has a lot of dirt. And these are the vehicles that we will ask residents or notify residents on having to move because it's parked on an unapproved surface. Now, there is a way for a resident who has a situation like this, where their car is actually parked on what we consider to be an unapproved surface. How you can make this parking situation legal, the resident or the property owner would need to come down to the offices downtown in the square at Market Way, and they would have to put in for a permit to have crushed stone brought in order to make this surface a legal surface for them to put their cars on.
Now, a little bit more about the York Integrated City Enhancement Team, the ICE team. I have with me now Chief Steve Buffington. He's the Chief of the York City Fire Department. Good morning. How are you doing, Chief?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you.
Tell me a little bit about you and how long you've been with the City of York.
I've been with the city since 1982.
Oh my goodness. Now wait, 1982, let's do the math. A long time, right?
It's been a while, yeah. It just seems like yesterday, but I have been with the city since 1982. I'm currently the chief of the York City Department of Fire Rescue Services and co-chair of the ICE team with Tom Landis.
Just for a little bit of background, when you started out, did you start out as a firefighter?
I did, yes. I started as a firefighter and rose through the ranks in the fire department.
Great. And I guess one of the things that people might say is what role does the city's fire department play in the ICE team? You know, what do you do, and how do your firefighters work with this group?
The Fire Prevention Bureau of the fire department plays a very active role in the Integrated City Enhancement team. They provide the manpower on the clean sweeps and on details that are put together as a result of information that comes out of ICE. From our weekly meetings, we get information, we get intelligence, and then the fire department follows up on that, either through members of the Fire Prevention Bureau or sometimes even folks on the fire trucks go out and look into some things. So essentially, I think a lot of times people think, oh, the firemen are the guys that when you hear, the fire truck going down the street, that's what's happening. Those firefighters are going to a fire, they're checking an incident, but there's a whole separate organization as part of your overall department that's doing something that's a little less known or understood maybe, and that's the investigation and the safety part of things. Absolutely. Fire prevention is a critical part of our operation in the fire department. some would say that's even the most important job that we do. It's more important to prevent a fire than to fight a fire. The opportunities available to us through the ICE team to carry on our mission of fire prevention is spectacular. As a result of ICE team, a lot of bureaucratic barriers have been broken down. Mm-hmm. All the departments, as well as the county sheriff's department, sit together once a week, and we talk about issues throughout the city in different neighborhoods. And when people leave that table, they immediately go back and begin to work on those problems, where before there were a series of telephone calls to be made, and, well, you know, that belongs in this department, that belongs in that department. I think probably one of the biggest accomplishments that we've made through ICE is to have broken that down and actually have the people that go out and get the work done sitting at the table. They get the information and they act upon it as quickly as possible.
I had the opportunity to sit at the ICE team meeting before we did this taping, and I am always impressed by public service. It's something that I appreciate and admire. I'm sure many viewers do also, but it is very interesting to see how you all work together and you share and you say, you know, I'll take that, or this one goes to you, and let's follow up, and next week we'll work on it, and how'd you make out on that thing we talked about last week? So it really is a collaborative effort where you all appear very much the experts, and you take your expertise and you put it together to improve the quality of life, like Tom had said. What are firefighters looking for when they go into that pre-sweep and then ultimately the clean sweep? What's the role of the firefighter in that case?
They're looking for different property maintenance issues, high vegetation, high weeds. They're looking for the condition of the properties. You know, do they need to be painted? Do they need some maintenance done? And they're also looking for fire hazard issues that might need to be addressed and take care of.
Talk a little bit about fire hazards and not only how they can have an impact on the people who live in the homes, but what barriers can be created for firefighters should there be a public safety or fire issue inside a home.
One of the issues that's evolving more and more and becoming a problem for the firefighters as well as the residents that live there is the hoarding problem. Mm-hmm. People that just don't throw things away. They keep too many things in their home. We've been in homes where there's just barely a pathway to get through. In the event of an emergency, if the house is on fire, that impedes the residents' ability to escape from the home. It also makes it very difficult for our firefighters to get to them should they need to be rescued. So that's an important issue for not only the residents, but for our firefighters as well.
And I think we all, based on recent current events, national events, we all should be keenly aware of our need to keep all firefighters and public servants safe when they're in the process of doing their duties. So that's important information for people to remember and to know. You know, you got it. Not only does your house have to be neat and clean and sanitary for your own well-being, but also for the well-being of others who could come to be at your rescue. Could you tell me what one thing viewers should understand about the city fire department and their public safety duties as relates to the ICE team?
We've become very vested in the ICE team. The ICE team has become a very valuable tool in our arsenal to help us get out to the community. Not only do we go out as an enforcement arm, we like to go out and talk with the public, educate them on some fire safety issues, and that the ICE team has just been a great venue for us to get out into the public and do those sorts of things. It's very important for residents in York City to understand we're a very compact, closely built together community, and although you may feel as though your issue in your home only affects you, very often it affects a whole row of homes. So the things that go on within an individual's home not only affect them, they affect the whole neighborhood. We've had horrific examples of that, such as Chestnut Street, where we lost a whole block as a result of a fire. That's why it's so important for us to get out into the neighborhoods, talk to folks, educate them about that, and also, unfortunately, at times to do enforcement and encourage folks to do what needs to be done to keep their neighborhood safe.
So we're really talking about enhancing the quality of life overall, not only with the ICE team, but the city's fire department. On behalf of all the citizens, I would like to say thank you to you and the men and women in your department that keep us safe on a daily basis, that do that work that's sort of behind the scenes and maybe isn't so visible, but also that's making us a stronger, more closely knit and safer community. So thank you very much. It was nice to talk with you this morning, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Property maintenance code specifies that grass and weeds must be cut and maintained below 10 inches at all times on all areas of the property. Here is an example of high grass and weeds that is not being cut or maintained. Property maintenance inspectors and fire code inspectors come out with a ruler to verify when grass and weeds is over 10 inches. Pictures are taken and citations are issued against the property owner. If it gets to a point where it is really bad and not being maintained, then the city can come out, cut the grass, and then a bill is issued to the property owner.
Lieutenant Erik Kleynen, hi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Angie.
Thanks for being here. We're talking about the ICE team, and I was interested in sharing with the viewers what it is the ICE team means in terms of the police department and their involvement.
For the police department, the ICE team is a terrific public relations tool. I currently am the commander for the neighborhood enforcement units, where we have 4 different neighborhoods throughout the city that we have several officers at work. And basically, ICE for us is we act as an extra set of eyes and ears for the people that can enforce the code's enforceable issues. We let them know about problems such as garages, high weeds, buildings that are falling into disrepair, buildings that are vacant that people have access to. We get them sealed. And we do different things making them aware. Obviously, they're not around during all hours of the day. We do have people in the police department that are here at all hours of the day, so we pass along that information to them.
And you talked about the 4 units. Can you tell us where those units are located?
Sure. We have the original unit was the West End unit, which is basically Penn Street to Sheridan and College to Philadelphia. That was eventually, the officers that were working that were eventually split up, and we started a South End unit, which is part of the Weed and Seed area, which is basically George to Queen Street and from King to Boundary. We also have the College unit, which is basically the southwest quadrant, moving from the city line south up to Kings Mill as well as Lafayette, and then from city line at the west end of that up to George Street. And then we also have the Northeast unit, which is our newest unit, which is basically King Street to Wallace, and then from Queen Street out to Franklin.
And these are police officers that are 24/7 in those neighborhoods, keeping an eye on things for the purposes of safety and security of the citizens of York.
Not necessarily 24/7.
Okay.
All right, but they are working. That's their patrol areas.
Mm-hmm.
They're different from our patrol officers, which are the backbones of our department. We basically go in and we take care of a lot of problems that, instead of an officer going and responding to a call and putting a Band-Aid on a call, fixing the problem temporarily, our officers will go in and they will see it through to fulfillment. A lot of times a patrol officer will go in, they'll take a report, and due to the depth that they have to go into, it may need to be turned over to the Detective Bureau. A lot of time my officers have the ability and the time to dedicate themselves to that particular call. So we get to interact with the neighbors a lot more than our patrol officers do. And we use that as a tool, bring ICE in. They tell us about problems and we pass that along.
And are some of the officers in those units the officers that I often see on their bicycles?
Yes.
Okay.
They do a lot of biking, they do a lot of walking. We want to make sure that people can talk to them and they interact with the people as well, and it's a good way to get out.
And only because I've seen them, are they also sometimes on Segways? Is that a different group of officers?
That is actually going to be part of neighborhood enforcement starting the end of this month.
Perfect.
The Downtown Business District, Officer McBride works downtown in the square and is often on Segway, along with Officer Kaler, who works in the summertime. The Downtown Business District will become part of neighborhood enforcement, as well as a new unit starting over in the Parkway area. So we're expanding within those boundaries.
And the reason we're doing all of this is because?
Well, it's, as I said earlier, it's a public relations tool. We all get together, we talk about the problems in the neighborhoods. Basically, it comes down to quality of life issues. People let us know about the little problems in the areas. We pass that information along. The police department gets involved when people throw litter down, which is a big initiative that the mayor wants to work on.
Take 10 on Tuesdays, right?
Yes. She's very big on the littering issue, so we're working on that. People urinating in public. And of course, we also have our trespass program that we do in our neighborhoods. And a lot of it leads to bigger stuff, drugs, guns, and other types of arrests that our officers get involved in.
I would imagine that the residents, the citizens of the city of York are also eyes and ears for you, and they help you in your work.
They are, and that has improved a lot within the neighborhoods where we have become established. Believe it or not everyone likes the police department. But we're trying to change that. And this is a good tool for that. We talk to the people, we let them know, that we can take care of the little problems, and we get them done very quickly. And the people, they like that, and they come back and they give us information on different things that we need.
Well, as a new resident of the city of York, I want to tell you, I like the police department. I've found that the officers are very friendly, they're very willing, they're extremely responsive, and I thank you and all the officers that work tirelessly for our city and for the visitors that come here for everything that you do. And thanks for being on the ICE team, because I know that your work and the work with all the other departments is going to make York a city that we're all very proud of and that we can all contribute to the betterment of. So thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Another department from the city that helps the ICE team work collaboratively is the Planning, Permits, and Zoning Department. And with me, I have John Beck, and he is the City of York's zoning officer. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's nice to have you here. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about how the zoning officer and the work that you do relates to the work of the ICE team.
I've become a member of the ICE team to collaborate with the fire department, the police department, the property maintenance inspectors on certain issues that they may not be able to resolve by themselves, or they're having problems resolving by themselves. So I work in conjunction with them on the most part.
And it seems to me that in the day-to-day operations of what you do, that you're interacting with these folks all the time. And the reason you're doing that, again, is this quality of life issue that we're addressing to help make the city, to improve operations in the city and to improve quality of life.
Correct. The main part of the zoning ordinance is is to improve the quality of life of all the citizens in the city.
And what aspects of zoning are related to ICE team activities? I think earlier I heard somebody mention something about swimming pools. Can you give me a few other examples and tell us more about that?
Sure. Swimming pools, like you mentioned, fences, abandoned vehicles, parking on unimproved surfaces.
Tell me a little bit about the parking, and I don't know what an unimproved or approved surface is.
Sure. An unimproved surface would be your grass backyard, or maybe you don't have too much grass, so a dirt backyard. Something that rainwater or stormwater can actually permeate the surface of the property.
So you really want to make sure that people are parking in a safe manner that is in compliance with the zoning ordinance.
Correct. We really want to make sure that any stormwater runoff is controlled, so we don't have the effect that we recently had with the tropical storm of flooding or things of that nature. We also want to prevent any contaminants getting into the groundwater and becoming a problem for our neighbors to the south of us.
So sometimes when we have an idea in our head, well, that's just a hassle. They won't let me park where I want to park. There's absolutely a valid reason for that happening. Like you said.
Absolutely.
Public safety is our first priority, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there anything that you believe viewers might need to know or understand about zoning or things that relate to the ICE team that would help them to be maybe more compliant or more observant, or just have input to and maybe call the FYI line?
Sure. Just wanted to inform the residents that anytime you want to put up a fence, put up a swimming pool, there are requirements that must be met per the zoning ordinance. And again, this is not to be strict and enforce certain regulations just because we can. We want to protect all the residents of the neighborhoods. We don't want swimming pools to be right on property lines or become a nuisance to your neighbors. It's more to enhance the quality of life. As far as the zoning ordinance, I would like to mention we did recently update the zoning ordinance. So I would like to remind all the residents that please be mindful that we did change the ordinance, and there are some things that were handled a little differently in the past that we'll now be addressing to the betterment of the city.
And do you have an example, maybe one or two examples of how the city will be bettered by the new zoning ordinance?
Absolutely. There's signage. The old signage, if you want to put signs on your house, it's not a problem. The old zoning ordinance was not necessarily content neutral. However, the new zoning ordinance is very much content neutral. We do have requirements for the size of signs. We don't want to prohibit anybody from expressing their First Amendment rights for free speech. However, we would just like and ask that residents put their signs up in a manner that's appropriate for residential neighborhoods. And
I guess also the one thing that I wanted to do is give people this FYI line number again, because if people want to know more about the zoning ordinance, they can find out about it through contacting the FYI line. That number again is 717-845-3949. You can always get on the city's website, www.yorkcity.org, or you could come and speak with people in the planning, permits, and zoning department, which is at the address again?
We're located at 1 Market Way West on the 3rd floor. We're on the square above the PNC Bank.
Okay. John, is there anything else that you wanted the viewers to know about zoning and the ICE team today?
No, and thank you for your time.
Great. Thanks for being here. We keep learning more about the ICE team. By the time this is over, maybe we'll have some citizen inspectors. Thanks.
Okay, here we have a major violation of trash and debris. We have the tires, we have loose trash, we have large items. We also found that we have a truck here that has a license plate that does not belong to this truck, so it is an abandoned vehicle. We have the boat that we will probably check to make sure that it is registered to this property. Again, the loose trash, the broken glass. You can follow it up here. We have the trash that's in the yard. Again, large items, the TV and everything. And if we come around, we'll check the VIN number for this trailer also, and this truck to make sure that it is valid and inspected. And then if you look up in the yard, you have also a lot of the camper and the trailers and the loose trash up in the yard also. So this is a major violation.
Next and last, we have Tamika Rascoe, and she is the health officer for the City of York. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I am fine.
And tell me how you add and enhance the ICE team.
Well, I'm there for the health and sanitation of homes, restaurants, daycares, churches, anything health related, food related, I'm there.
And how do you work with the ICE team when they're operating? What's the relationship between you and the people who are doing the pre-sweeps and the clean sweeps?
If they see anything of concern, they relay it back to me in the meeting or before the meeting by email, a phone call, and I will go out and investigate.
And when you do an investigation, you're working with property owners, with restaurant owners, with businesses, and I would imagine that your primary responsibility is health and sanitation, food safety. Anything else?
I mean, I do it all. I check for grease spills in alleys. If there's smells coming from houses, I'll investigate, see where it's coming from. And if it's not my department, I'll get it over to the right department.
And some of those yucky things, a little bit about bugs, and some things about, you said bad odors, bugs, spills. All of that has an impact on the safety of residents of the city and visitors to the city. So if I understand it correctly, your job and your role as the ICE team is to be one of the many people who are here to improve quality of life and to assure safety and a nice experience for people who live and work in the city. Is there anything that you would want to tell the viewers about the health department and health inspections in general?
Mostly what I see, if you're going to do any special events, anything for the public, get a special event permit. Sometimes it needs to be paid for, sometimes not. If you have a license, you don't need to pay for it. But it's my way of being there to make sure before you serve the public, everything's safe.
Before you're serving food, any kind of food distribution, people should do that. And if they wanted to get a permit or wanted to have access to what it is you do, they can do several things. They could call the FYI line for the City of York. Again, that number is 717-845-3949, or they could come to the city offices at 1 Market Way West, the 3rd floor. That's where the office of the Health Bureau is, the Health Department is, and they can speak with you as they need to by telephone through the FYI line.
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you too for the part that you play on the ICE team. Again, the kind of work that you do is very specialized and you're well trained. You've been with the city
4 years.
4 years. Well, thank you for what you do, and thank you for speaking with us today. I wish you all the best in your work.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.